So I'm here to talk about some common misconceptions, and this is actually a little misleading. It's not necessarily scientific misconceptions, but they're misconceptions based off of an improper science understanding. So, jumping right into it. First one is that milk is good for your bones. Who here thinks that milk is good for your bones? That's fair, because I did too, prior to this. Well, turns out that milk does in fact have quite a bit of calcium. 25% of your daily serving, that's pretty good. But the problem with milk, if you'd like to switch to the next slide, is that milk is actually slightly acidic compared to the blood. So what happens is that your bones and the calcium in the bones act as a buffer for your blood's pH. So that means that the bones uses up their calcium in order to keep the pH of the blood at a constant level. So when you're drinking milk, you're actually reducing the calcium in your bones, as your bones need to use that calcium to buffer the acidity of the milk. So it kind of goes full circle, and that the calcium then replenishes some of the bone calcium, but you're actually losing more calcium than you're gaining when you drink milk. So. Alright, second misconception is that lightning never strikes twice. I'm sure most of you guys know that lightning does strike twice, but at what rate and like what consistency? Well, this is a picture of the Empire State Building being struck by lightning. And well, just for you guys, how many times do you think the Empire State Building gets struck a year? 12? 12?
I read a stat somewhere, I don't remember it, but
That sounds about right.
2, 3 times, maybe 4 times, maybe 12 times. Anyone else have a guess? Okay, well, it's actually 25 times a year.
Wow. That was my next guess.
Huh?
27 was my next guess.
Oh wow, that's fairly accurate and oddly
I mean, if
specific.
if I kept going with random numbers, I'll get there eventually.
Yes.
That's true. But yeah, so what happens is that lightning is actually attracted to the tallest objects, so everyone knew that. But the secondary effect of lightning is that lightning is negatively charged, right? So what happens is that the difference in atmospheric, what is the word? Electronegativity causes a charge to build up, which ends up being a lightning strike. So what happens is that when something gets struck by lightning, it is negatively charged with lots of electricity. That's what lightning is. But the result is that this has created a myth that lightning doesn't strike twice, because if something's negatively charged, it is very unlikely that it's about to be struck again, because negative charges repulse negative charges and positive charges attract negative charges. So the result is that the Empire State Building, the tallest building in New York, only gets struck 25 times a year. But that does in itself debunk the myth that it gets struck more than once. So lightning does in fact strike twice, and actually many times. But there are also rare cases of positively charged lightning. So positively charged lightning consists of only 5% of the world's lightning strikes, but when it does happen, well, it is a lot more likely to hit the areas that have been struck by lightning previously, because the positive charge is attracted to the negative charge. So it's actually not too uncommon to see certain areas hit by 2 consecutive strikes of lightning if the second is a positive charge. Yes, this is a picture of a positive charge lightning strike. It's less blue in color, and it's actually a really spectacular phenomenon. But yeah, we could go to the next one. This is a kind of disgusting picture up close, but these are bacterial cells, and I'm sure you guys have heard the concept or the facts being pushed around that you are 10 times more bacterial than you are human cells. Have you guys heard that one before?
Yeah.
Do you guys think that one's true? Well, I'm sure now you guys don't think it's true, but I believed it because bacteria are tiny. It makes sense, kind of. So if you'd like to go to the next slide. So the previous estimate was that there's 10 trillion human cells in the body. Sure, I don't really know how they got that estimate, but apparently it was a paper done. Do I actually have the paper on the next slide? No, I don't. So it was a paper done by T. Lucky, who is the name of the scientist who did the paper, and he estimated that the body, just by a tissue sample estimation, that there's 10 trillion human cells in the body. So he then estimated that there's 100 trillion bacteria cells living all around us, and he got this estimate from a gut sample. Well, the problem there is that your gut has a lot more bacteria than the rest of your body does. So a recent study by some college I'm forgetting the name of right now. I have it in citations, so don't be worried. Did an estimate based off of tissue per organ sample. So the new estimates, if you'd like to go to the next page, is closer to 1-to-1 actually. So turns out there's about 39 trillion bacteria in your body, and most of those consist of gut bacteria, yes, but there's also all the bacteria living on your skin. So they did samples of skin and gut colon area and estimated to be around 39 trillion. So the difficulty in estimating human cells, though, is that you actually have to account for the different types of tissue you have. You know, you have muscle tissue, you have organ tissue, like your liver cells are actually different size than like your brain cells per se. So what they had to do was take a rough estimate of every organ in your body, every different organ in your body, and then they used that to get a general estimate for how many cells you have in your body, and that number turned out to be 34 trillion. So I think the idea of having 10-to-1 bacterial cells to human cells is frankly quite horrifying. So I personally am glad that this is the case, and then most of those bacterial cells live in your stomach. So that in itself is kind of disconcerting, because that's a lot. But it's still nice to know that I am not mainly weighing myself in bacteria. Let's move on to the next one. Orange juice. Oh boy. More specifically, vitamin C. So I'm sure some of you guys take vitamin C supplements when you guys think it's reaching allergy or cold season, or maybe when you're sick, you crack open orange juice packet, pour some into your water. I know my roommate did that quite a few times last year, and he swore it worked. So I was, okay, it must be true. Anecdotal evidence. It's good. But it turns out that this vitamin C craze was caused by none other than our man here, Linus Pauling. So if you guys know who Linus Pauling is, he is actually one of the most renowned scientists of our time. He's won 2 Nobel prizes, one for his the current orbital diagram that we use for atoms today, and the other for creating a 3-helix structure. I don't really know what the significance of that is yet, because I haven't gotten that far in my biochem classes. But you can have 3 strands in a helix instead of just 2. I didn't. But it turns out that one day, Linus Pauling fell victim to adverts and common media. And he read that orange juice helped prevent disease. So what happened was that this man, this double Nobel Peace Prize winning man, not Peace Prize, Nobel winning man, actually has records of him drinking up to 100 cups of orange juice a day. Yeah, so this man swore that after starting this juice drinking habit, that he no longer got sick. And I'm very glad for him that he didn't get sick, but it turns out it had nothing to do with the vitamin C, because current studies show that yeah, vitamin C does protect the immune system, but it does nothing to fight the diseases itself. So vitamins are an essential part to your body's system in aiding your proteins and enzymes, and that they act as basically aids. They act as catalysts for, even though enzymes are already catalysts. It's kind of complicated, but I won't bore you guys too much with that. They help the immune system. But what they don't do is prevent your common cold, cure cancer, that's something some people believe, cure diabetes, or lower metal toxicity. And that one was actually a pretty common myth that was actually kind of dangerous, because people would feed their children inordinate amounts of orange juice after they got some lead or something in them. So not only did they have lead poisoning, but they were also hopped up on vitamin C, which is nothing inherently wrong with it, but in the form of orange juice, high sugar, high acidity, it's kind of dangerous. But the one disease that vitamin C does deal with is scurvy. I'm sure you guys know what scurvy is. You know, it's pirates, they eat limes and stuff. And the thing with vitamin C, though, is scurvy is that scurvy is not a disease caused by bacteria. It's just a deficiency in certain vitamins or certain nutritions. And vitamin C is one of those primary nutritions. So, yeah, vitamin C. It's good for you, not that good. Okay, next myth is 8 glasses of water a day. Who has had their mother tell them that they need to drink 8 glasses of water a day? Because I know I have. Yes. Thank you guys. Excuse me. Yeah, 8 glasses of water a day. That sounds kind of absurd, doesn't it? That's like 2 glasses a meal at least, and then 2 more glasses throughout the day. So that's quite a bit of water. So this is actually from a study done, which will also be in the citations. But it came from this paragraph here, this passage here. Suitable allowance for water is 2.5 liters. 2.5 liters translates to about 8 cups a day. What people did not notice, though, is directly under it. I'd like to go to the next slide. Thank you very much. Is that most of this water is gotten in food. And it's 2 sentences away from the previous sentence. But, you know, we're people, we don't have the most time in the world, so I guess a lot of people miss this when they're reading it. But the skinny on this is that, yeah, about 30% or more of your water comes from food intake. So, foods like watermelon consist of a lot more water than other foods. I just chose watermelon, it's an arbitrary example. But even in your fruits and vegetables, even in things like your proteins, in your meats, you'll still get water from those meats. It might be a low concentration, but you're still getting water necessary in order to act as a metabolite in your bodily system. Albeit, the more you eat, the more water you do need in order to break down the food, but a lot of the water comes from the intake, your natural dietary intake. So next time your mother tells you to drink 8 cups of water today, tell her, no, you. Don't actually do that because that's unhealthy, although drinking water is good for you, so, but not that much water. Anyway, so speaking of water, yeah, there might be a lot of survival misconceptions about lack of water. As this man is demonstrating, water is really important to survival. Thank you, stock photos. But if you're in a snowy wasteland, you might think, hey, this is great, there's no problem. I can just hydrate off the snow around me. Snow is made of water, right? So when I consume the snow, I might get more water out of it. Well, this is true in the sense that snow is made of water, but in the sense that it's good for your survival, it's not. So the problem with snow, if you'd like to move to the next slide, is that snow is primarily made out of air. So the estimated volume of water to air in snow, because of snow's crystalline structure or ice's crystalline structure, and then snow being in flakes and packed together to form conglomerates of snow, means that snow is primarily just dense air and very little water. So what this means is that when you consume snow, sure, it might melt down into water, but there's another problem with that, your body actually takes more energy and more water to melt the snow because water is a main metabolite. I see you going. So right now is a main metabolite in your homeostatic. That's what it is. Homeostatic functions. Therefore, causing you to lose more heat and more energy than you would have if you just hadn't drank the snow in the first place. So, highly ill-advised. Snow also has an incredibly high specific heat, as most of you STEM majors know. That means that it takes a lot of energy to melt or to change the temperature of water in order to get it to reach like a melting point. So the result is that a lot of energy is used just converting the ice into water. And then while you're converting the ice into water, you're also converting a bunch of cold air into hot air. And what can you do with the hot air? Nothing really. I guess it feels kind of nice eventually. But yeah, so you could eat ice cubes, but don't. Because it also has the same effect. You have to break down the water into its liquid form. So that's the skinny on why snow is bad, but ice is slightly better.